if we go to Shafaq first. So 1 year ago, the government launched their digital gender inclusion strategy. I think it was actually maybe in this room as well in Pakistan a year ago, which is great, which is fantastic. Can you tell us a little bit more about the strategy, the progress that has been made, but also any challenges that you've come?
Which is very important because there are certain norms and certain, fear of unknown for which women are not very comfortable to join our internet. We are very few of the population of the country who are sitting here who having access to the internet services. But if we, the women, make 50% of country's population, we are sitting at the Digital Nation Summit. So we need to have the 50% population on board to have a truly digital nation. So the Safety and Security Working Group is working on the specific policies and laws which are going to aid women for adoption of internet and mobile usage, and how could they be more secure online. Then one of the groups is focusing specifically on the inclusion itself. When we talk about inclusion, so we say that we are focusing on the people who have not been able to connect with the internet or mobile devices at all. So we are trying to bring all those people who were actually in your black bar and the red bar which you mentioned on the screen. So we are trying to improve those usage gaps, and this is how the working groups are working. Formally, we have launched the TORs of the working groups, and yesterday also you have yourself attended one of the meetings, and so all the stakeholders are working together. And this is not only about the government bodies which are working, but the private stakeholders who are assisting us a lot, and the social media platforms who can be much more, positively contributing to this effort with us. So this is how we are moving. And hopefully after this first year, since we have seen a lot of improvement, we are expecting a lot more to come in the coming years. So this is how I see it.
Thank you very much. Sounds like you've got multiple stakeholders on board. Everyone's ready to go. They're very well organized in order to start implementation. From your point of view, how do we continue along this road of progress and accelerate digital inclusion, but just make sure that we don't lose momentum, that we keep on going, and that we can scale where possible?
Okay, so well, to keep ourselves very much on this path, we need to remove certain barriers, and which you have exactly highlighted on your screen a little time back. That we have to do the socio-cultural norms and barriers. This is one of the most important things. And rural women and are facing this a lot. And then affordability itself, affordability of the mobile devices or internet connections itself. So these are the two challenges for which we need to have certain policies in place. But policies alone cannot make a difference as long as we have, some champions from the society itself who can promote this agenda uh, on a community level. So we need to have more people in field who are directly engaging with the community and making them aware of the beneficial uses of internet and how could women be playing their part in socio-economic improvement of the society. So this is one of the key elements which we need to focus on. And one more thing is about the data, exactly which I highlighted. So we need to have certain data in terms of having, some geographical bifurcations through which we could identify which areas of the Pakistan are more underserved from females' perspective. So I think we need to work on improvement of the gender disaggregated data and affordability itself and digital awareness of massive campaigns for that. This is how.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. How are we expected to monitor progress, to really understand the situation if we're not collecting the right data in the first place? I think that's a really important point. I know that you want. I know that you also wanted to summarize in Urdu some of your responses, so we'd like to do that.
Mary, this is the last part of the conversation. So, to summarize it very quickly, in the interest of time, we can say we need to improve access of the telecom services to the underserved areas, for which, apart from the traditional telecom services provisioning methods, we need to look at certain other alternative means which can focus on the community-centered communications as well, and which are very much owned by the community itself. And we are also looking at some USF contributions, which everybody knows that USF is playing a vital role in improvement of the mobile broadband and internet connectivity facilities in the rural areas of the country. Um, and apart from that, I would request all the social media platforms who are present here to help PTA and the policy making bodies to provide us some data insights which we could be using positively, some guidance for improvement of the implementation schemes. And very quickly, I would like to be very thankful to all the implementation partners who are working on ground, and some of them are sitting here. I can see many of them, and for improving this overall situation. And through this platform, I would also like to let everybody know that PT is having all this consolidated information on its website, and we are open to connect with any such organization who is directly engaging with the communities. And under the international telecommunication hashtag partner to connect, we are open to have collaboration arrangements with the organizations, because telecom operators, they are doing tremendously great job. If we talk about Jazz, Telenor, Ufone, or Zong, they all are playing their part. But we need to have more implementation partners on ground who can directly engage with the communities and convince them with the positive use of internet. So this is how I would like to. And one last point, I need to have more male champions, not only in this room, but in all provinces of the country, who could be aware of the importance of the subject first themselves, and then make their, their co-partners in the society to play their roles. Thank you.
Hopefully this is working again now. Perfect. Thank you so much. That's really, really helpful. So Kazim, on to you. We just said that Jazz is doing a fantastic job, which is great. And of course, we at GSMA, we're delighted that Jazz is one of our Connected Women Commitment Partners. We've just spoken about some of the barriers that women face in particular, and that stems from, affordability, lack of family approval, but also around digital skills as well. Can you share some of the steps that Jazz has taken to reach women, but also particularly rural women?
Okay, thank you. We did understand that there is a gap that exists, especially in terms of gender, as well as in terms of the rural and urban divide. So we were trying to address both. Initially, we started off with the rural-urban divide by having our literacy programs launched throughout the country, where the learnings we had that most of the people coming to listen to us were males. So for the last couple of years, we started employing females to actually support us in educating the women over there, because we just spoke about the cultural barriers. The more rural you go, the bigger the barriers are. And so that barrier can only be addressed if we have women actually talking to women, because then the understanding and the kind of dialogue they can have is much better than a male sort of trying to champion it for a rural community. So that became a success. So we then started focusing on that if an individual has a SIM in their hand, what can they do with it? Because connectivity was something which I feel the new generation, or whether it is urban or rural, that has become like a hygiene factor. So that is a necessity, it's commoditized. So then we started focusing on launching services which encourages, especially women, to actually adopt this technology, get a smartphone, get our SIM, and then start using these services. the, the few big ones were focusing on insurance because Pakistan is has the lowest insurance penetration amongst the population and extremely low for women. So there were specific products designed that through our brand called Fikr Free, which encouraged women to buy insurance, and they were micro insurances. So there were no big ticket commitments that sort of scares people, and everything was handled through digital ecosystem. Then recently we started working on the health sector because again, affordable, good quality healthcare is something that is only available to select few in the top urban cities, and it is not for the rural and for the masses. That way we are launching it. I'll talk about after this session. Also, it's a brand called Apna Clinic, which will provide teleconsultancy, medical delivery, hospital booking, and all those things. And again, there is going to be a special section and medical doctors to address female concerns for the female patients. The third challenge I see that we're trying to bridge is on education. Because again, good quality education, either it is only available in the urban areas or it is extremely expensive. So bringing it online, which reduces the actual cost of education for both the teacher as well as the students, is something that we are going to give through our platform. So these are the three things we feel when we launch them in a big manner pretty soon is something that is going to help the rural-urban divide and actually give, especially the female population, which again, it's encouraging to see the growth trajectory on how the gap is being reduced. But when you have a reason to use the mobile phone, then I believe it is going to be in an accelerated manner, and pretty soon we might have a comparable number.
Thank you very much. And it sounds like you're very much looking at it in a holistic way, looking at the different ways in which, particularly women, but women and men and those in rural areas are interacting, what are the entry points in order to access them, in order to encourage them to adopt mobile internet. So that sounds really wonderful. Touching on your last point of where you think we could be going in the future, it does feel like we're on an upward trajectory when it comes to advancing digital inclusion across Pakistan. On that note, what do you think are perhaps some of the challenges that we might encounter, both in the immediate and in the long term, when it comes to actually scaling our efforts and actually, keeping on going and fully implementing our programs?
So the two main entry barriers that I see, one from the operator's perspective is rolling out the network in the rural areas, and we just spoke about, or she mentioned about the USF, which is supporting us in getting into an area which from a purely business angle doesn't make financial sense to go. So USF is doing a great job and we are rolling out over there. So the network availability becomes, available for the population over there. Then the other element is the smartphone. Smartphone is the first step that is needed to become a digital native. Once you have the smartphone, then all the bouquet of services opens. The affordability is still a challenge. So we are working with partners like whether it is KissPay or banks and having installment plans, but still I think the scale is very small. We need to accelerate and government support will be needed a lot over there because once a customer has smartphone in their hands, they become eligible for all the services that I just spoke about. Other than that, it's just the basic voice connectivity, which is not of too much interest. It's the data literacy that we are trying to promote, which leads to adoption of various services. So the biggest challenge you see, if I want to mention, is going to be how quickly we can roll out in far-flung areas and how affordable a smartphone can be for especially women.
Hello? Yeah, thank you very much. That's really helpful. And I think particularly highlighting those bigger challenges that we're still yet to overcome. So I think that's really helpful. Asif, over to you. So we know that reaching the underserved is a key commitment and key passion of KissPay as well, and of you personally. And you've explored different initiatives over the years in order to address this. We have heard that women and those in rural settings are the most excluded in Pakistan. It would be great to hear how through KissPay you're reaching the rural customers, especially women, but also what impact are you seeing over the last couple of years?
Well, first of all, Assalamu alaikum everyone, and thank you very much for inviting us here, and thank you very much for bringing all the stakeholders together, because this is one of the key challenges. We believe that in order to address the affordability challenge, this is an ecosystem play. This is not just one player piece. So as far as the benefits are concerned, I mean, it's very visible to everyone. Once you enable a female with a device, you give the agency to do a lot of things. I mean, you also shared a picture where, just access to internet changed the life of Miss Sadia, the example that you shared. So we have a lot of examples where we introduce the device financing to a person who could not afford device before. So first of all, we facilitated them to open a bank account, which is basically generally in most of the cases, they were asking their a male member of their family to do a transaction for them, be it a bill payment, or fund transfer to anyone, or even if that involves the mobile top-up. So, first of all, it gives the agency to female. But I think when we go to the rural areas, um, we say that device financing is a wicked problem, which is complex and complicated both, right? First of all, device, we think that it's a very easy decision. I mean, people who use iPhone, whenever there's a new iPhone, they go and buy a new iPhone. But we talk about the devices which ranges from $100 to $150 remain $100. So basically, people actually don't really understand what is the difference between different RAM and ROMs, and they don't understand the technical aspects of it. So, and when you put financing on top of it, so they say this is expensive. But I think the fundamental challenge remains that when you try to do the device financing for the bottom of the pyramid or the rural side of the things, um, the from a finance perspective, how do you assess the repayment capability of that person? Because in the absence of documented income, it is very difficult to assess what kind of repayment the person can afford. Because the success of the program would depend on the repayments of the devices we are financing, right? And then the cycle moving forward from there, you upgrade the next one. But in the absence of documented income and in absence of any other form of data that is required for us to do the assessment of the repayment capability, that's a big challenge, right? So in that case, over the period of last couple of years, we did many pilots, and with some telecom operators, we use telecom data as a primary input. If the customer has been top up their account regularly. Plus, we also collaborated with some NGOs, who were helping them in digital literacy and setting up their businesses online. Which in some of the cases we also help women who could get the device from our platform, also connect them with the largest e-commerce store, who basically could then got training from the e-commerce platform and started selling online. I mean, easier said than done, but these are some of the use cases which we were like, this is a life-changing event for them. So some of these things, really came together well. But again, having said that, easier said than done. It is very difficult. The one of the key challenges which you also mentioned is the family disapproval in the rural areas, right? Um, and some of the women also think that if their male member of the family has a smartphone, they don't need one. I mean, you ask them, you don't need it. No, it's enough. Whenever I need to use it, I ask for my husband, I ask for my brother, I ask for my father, and I use it, and that's it. So that's another area, why the demand from that segment remains low. And third, ones who are basically, we don't have any data about them and they can't afford it, so we are left with no option but to not give them phone there and then. So there are multiple challenges, but I think it's, as I said earlier in the beginning, that it's a ecosystem play. When we want to digitize the undocumented economy, we need to start sharing data, which is basically we don't have any, unfortunately, any standardized forum where a third party can get access, which also needs to be consent based, because we only get access to data when customer applies to us, and we generally go to these rural areas in partnership with one of the telecom operators or other NGO or any partner on ground. So benefits, I think it's life changing in terms of when you give a device to someone who was struggling to have access to it in the beginning. But again, sometimes repayments also becomes a challenge. And to our surprise, in some of the cases when we gave the phone to a female family member and we called for the recovery, the male member picked up the phone. And they said, who asked you to give the phone? And I said, we don't know. We ran a program in your area, and these women came to our platform, and through our partnership, with trust, we gave them. So, there are different set of challenges that we come across, but I think the idea here is not to give up. And it cannot be done in one piece and then see results. I think we will come through this after doing a lot of pilots, and that would also include a lot of failures, right? But we have to have one integrated approach across the ecosystem where somebody applies will be facilitated for the positive repayment behavior. And if somebody does not, so we also need to, block that person from access to the services. But this has to be done at a technology level, at a policy level. Yeah, so I think these are some of the benefits and challenges that we face.
Thank you. That's really helpful. And you've raised a number of different challenges, but also what you're doing in response to that. And, the need for an ecosystem approach and the need for collaboration and actually going into a lot of these communities, you're doing it in partnership. And I think that's really interesting. On the challenges that you have encountered, what perhaps are some of the lessons learned? Have you adapted how your outreach and your engagement as a result? Going forward, are there any kind of key lessons to share with everyone?
Yeah, in this particular segment, the one and the most frequent challenge that we face is the consistent repayment behavior. And sometimes the amount committed and the amount was required to make for the next installment amount, the amount was not there 100%. So they frequently ask us either adjust the repayment time date, give us an extension of a few days or a few weeks, or ideally if you can split the payment, or if you can combine our both payments in the next installment. So because in this particular segment, the income consistency is a challenge, right? And we understand that this is a reality because we also work with the gig economy workers, the ride-hailing industry, the food delivery individuals. So if for something, if the bike is not working, they have some other challenge, so they're not doing work, and in that moment they're not earning money, and therefore their repayment pattern has been broken. So we understand that the person is genuine, the situation could be genuine, we're not there on ground, but we need to trust. And honestly, we don't have any other choice because we don't want to have a recovery team on ground for the collection. We try to do it all digitally. What we do in the absence of the repayment is we block the phone. And the moment the person makes a payment in real time, the phone gets unlocked and the person starts using it. So we try to solve through technology, but also have a human approach here, right? If the problem exists and the person is requesting us to make the systematic change in the repayment, so we have adopted those changes. And in recent times, unusual problem came to us, and they said we don't have internet to make the payment. So now we are also working, collaborating with telecom operators, where we basically give data on credit, where basically customer can send us SMS, and we can actually send the data on credit there and then. So that person gets online, and first thing to do is to make payment to us as well as do rest of the stuff. So, these are the things that we came across while doing the financing to this particular segment. And but we understand that we need to remain agile to respond to these, feedbacks. If we remain rigid, like, majority of the big banks are, they're not, ready to modify anything. So we need to be different in that aspect and also help educate the customer that your repayment behavior is contributing to your credit score, which is kind of a financial literacy, right? When we give you the loan, we open your bank account and also create your score. And with each repayment, your score is maintained or going up. And if you don't make the payment, so that's also, again, as I said, that's a bigger problem. Education piece is also something that they don't understand. If they don't make the payment, their credit score goes down, what impact do they have in life? So there are mix of challenges that we're facing, but as I said earlier, it's just a step that we need to take every day moving forward and see light at the end of the tunnel.
Thank you very much. And it sounds like from all of your inputs, there's two key things that are kind of sticking out for me. One is about having that real understanding of individuals' experiences when it comes to the barriers to mobile internet and to mobile internet adoption and further use. So that having that continued engagement, as you said, Shafak, at the community level, really understanding, monitoring the different experiences. And then feeding off that, having the flexibility, as you said, to adjust, to try innovative ways of reaching rural people, particularly women, in order to raise awareness of the benefits of mobile internet and to encourage them to adopt as well. I think those two key things were kind of key takeaways for me. We have 1 minute left, and I'm going to come to you in a minute. I'm going to give each of you 10 seconds. Or
Hello.
not. Hello. Better?
Can I speak in?
Is that better? So 10 seconds for each of you to give me an answer to what is the one key action that stakeholder... Sorry, that microphone does not like me. One key action that stakeholders should be focusing on in order to have real sustainable impact in this area. 10 seconds each.
You start.
10 सेकेंड्स में उर्दू में बात करूँगी। मेरे ख्याल में जो की एक्शन है जो हम सबको लेने की ज़रूरत है वो है कि हम सबको कोलैबोरेट करना और इस पे परसिस्टेंट एफर्ट्स करनी है। ये एक दिन का काम नहीं है, एक साल का काम नहीं है। So we have to keep on putting in efforts जब तक कि हम इस गैप को रिड्यूस करके अभी तो we are standing we have seen a reduction of to 25%, but we want to reduce it to even a smaller number to make Pakistan comparable with the other advanced countries. So एक चीज़ और कि डिजिटल अवेयरनेस जो मुझे लग रहा था इस कमरे का एक बैरियर है हमारे कुछ ऑडियंस को शायद इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज भी समझ ना आ रही हो उसके लिए आई एम वेरी थैंकफुल टू द ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हु हैव ब्रॉट इन द पीपल जिनको कि वो एक्चुअली ट्रेन कर रहे हैं पाकिस्तान अलायंस फॉर गर्ल्स एजुकेशन इज सिटिंग हियर विद अस जो कि आज की बच्चियों पे आज की ख़वातीन को मुल्क की बेहतरी के लिए डिजिटल अवेयरनेस और लिटरेसी के ऊपर काम कर रहे हैं जिससे कि कल को आने वाली जनरेशन्स को ऐसा नहीं लगेगा कि हमारे माओं को कुछ नहीं पता हम तमाम चीज़ें इंटरनेट से मालूम कर लेते हैं तो आई थिंक ये बड़ा इम्पॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है एक्चुअली Mary, I just wanted to focus on the element that we need to educate our women so that our children tomorrow do not say that our mothers know nothing, but we can have all information from Google or something like that. So we have to equip the mothers today to deal with the challenges which we are going to face tomorrow. So this is what...
Thank you. More than one, I think just two things. It will be less than 10 seconds. Digital literacy and affordable smartphones.
And I think in order to make that happen, we need to collaborate. You know, we need to collaborate and we need to, we should not be afraid of failures. This is a journey which is difficult and to be honest, the reason why it is unsolved because nobody has paid attention to it because it was not profitable, not easy to do it. And I think the only way to do is through collaboration and with the resilience that together we will solve it. To solve the problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think, Kazim, you got the prize for keeping to 10 seconds there. So thank you to all of you for listening to us and, of course, to our wonderful experts to talk through these issues and highlight key initiatives that are helping with us. On to the next session. Thank you very much. Round of applause.